What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and I am bringing you a League Cup winning deck. This one was a very recent cup. It was a little on the small side, and it's similar to my League Challenge deck, but I think it's considerably improved. It is ZoroRoc, Lycanroc, Paw Patrol, whatever the heck you want to call it. We're running Quagsire because this thing is the beating heart of just so many really consistent decks we've been running lately. We got the Quagsires for it, obviously. And this build around, I am running 3 Lycanrocs rather than 2. The more and more I test, the more those 2 can kind of be problematic. It can be a little difficult to dig for them. Plus, sometimes you really do want access to the 3rd, or if you prize one, obviously that's a bit of a problem. So the 3 really takes care of that. And we're opting for just the 3 Rockruffs to support it, and I'm a big fan of this particular Rockruff just because it's got 70 HP. We're running a 1/1 line of Magcargo. Magcargo's Slugma is just so very powerful. You don't absolutely have to have it because this deck has a lot of digging power, but obviously the ability to search a specific thing in a certain time is very good. And I found a lot of opponents really do not appreciate how effective Magcargo is, and they will not Guzma it up until very late in the game, when by that point you basically have all the resources you need. So that's fine. If they want to Guzma that up in the late game, you've already got everything you need, so it doesn't really matter at that point. We're running 1 Diancie. That does make some pretty powerful numbers, like for instance Lycanroc Claw Slashes for 130 instead of 110 with Diancie, which is a really critical number for hitting things like Delmise or Deoxys or say Baby Buzzwole, etc. All pretty important things that you don't want to have to burn a GX move in order to hit. We're also running 1 miniature, like the small Tapu Koko, and this guy is quite nice. He's more than just a free retreating pivot. For example, in Gascan, where they are running the Chimico to try to mess you up, this guy is like the perfect counter, pretty much. Because that lock will basically prevent you from playing your key Pokemon, your Lycanroc and your Zoroark, and it can seem pretty dark for you, but you only have to have 1 turn opening in order to drop your Zoroarks out. So they have to hit you every single turn with the Bell of Silence, or else it doesn't matter anymore, basically. And that's the whole point. That Bell of Silence, even if Marshadow's copying it, does pitiably little damage to Tapu Koko. Meanwhile, you can be putting 20s on all their benched Pokemon every single turn with Flying Flip, which is incredibly worth it, because sooner or later they will have to break the Bell of Silence combo in order to start hitting you for damage. And when that happens, if you've landed a number of Flying Flips, then everything should probably be in KO range much more easily, or just completely in your one-hit KO range for Zoroark and Lycanroc, which makes your life much easier, because you don't have to worry about, can I deal a big amount of damage like 180 or something to knock something out, because now everything's got, let's say, 40 or 60 damage, and it's much easier to KO. So that's definitely your counter for that matchup. You could run 2, I suppose, but I just like the 1. It's such a good card. It's obviously like the best starting Pokemon for its free retreat. We've got 1 Baby Buzzwole. He's just good for that Sledgehammer turn, and he's good against other Zoroark decks, obviously. And finally, we are running 1 Tapu Lele GX. It's just a nice Ultra Ball target for when you really need that 1 supporter and you don't have like a Magcargo Zoroark set up or something like that. And it can be a nice early game consistency insurance kind of thing. Supporter wise, we're opting for 4 Cynthias. We're running 3 Leles because we can definitely play out our hand in this deck, so it's a good supporter for us. We've got 2 Kukuis. It's not great early game, but it helps you hit some pretty important numbers in that mid to late game, especially since we don't have to Guzma to call up Sling like a Lele. So you can play Lycanroc, bring up a Lele, and a Zoroark with a full bench does 120, plus a Kukui is 140, plus a Choice Band is 170 for knockout. So this definitely helps you hit some crucial numbers at times, and it can make weird math situations like with Tapu Koko, etc. A little bit better. We're running 3 Guzmas because we don't really need the 4th when we're running Lycanroc, obviously. Our final supporter is Acerola. And I think the Acerola is really quite worth it. Yeah, it can Bail Sling like Zoroark out, but obviously this is basically just for resetting your Lycanroc. Item-wise, we've got 4 Ultra Balls. We've got 4 Nest Balls. And these are obviously just for getting that early game consistent setup. Not a big mystery there. We've got 3 Great Ball. This card's been really controversial, this format, as it's kind of stepped up. But I can't really compliment it enough. We just run so many of our Lycanroc Zoroark line, and this just sort of makes sure that we always get them and we can thin our deck, and it sets up for Lily. It's not for every deck, but it's quite nice in this deck. So I think it really is worth it. I've really enjoyed playing it. It's never really been a negative thing. I mean, worst case scenario, it thins out my hand and thins out my deck. So We've got 2 choice bands. It's really all we need, because a lot of times we're 2-hit KOing things with or without the choice band, so it's more of a strategic, you play it for just the right time and just the right knockout kind of thing. We also run 2 weakness policy. This is incredibly necessary with a format that's still got a lot of fighting types in it. This protects your Zoroark from being way too easily one-hit KO'd by things like, say, Baby Buzz or Lycanrocs. This way, if you've got this on your Zoroark, that Lycanroc's going to have to burn like a GX move, or if you don't have enough things on your bench, it can't even one-shot your Zoroark. And with Field Blower being in relatively light play right now, it tends to stick down, and obviously this can help us against things like Golisopod as well. We're running 1 Pal Pad, just that retrieval is quite necessary. You're usually getting Guzma or Acerola, but those are, you can get anything, obviously. We got 1 Rescue Stretcher. Can be quite good, especially if you have to discard some nice things to Zoroark early to kind of help set up a bit. This can help us get them back into deck or hand. We got 1 Field Blower. I'm always going to be a big advocate of Field Blower. I kind of like it over Devoured Field because I don't think the math on Devoured Field is that crucial for us really in the long run. And that Field Blower is kind of a nice catch-all for all kinds of things. And we do also run 1 Switch. Just the early game can be kind of awkward with the wrong Pokemon in your active spot, especially things like Baby Buzzwole or Slugma. Switch helps us get around that without having to Guzma or discard our precious energies in order to get out of the active slot. It's a nice Macargo target as well. I filled with a number of things here, but I found that Switch is really pretty clutch in a lot of situations, especially times when our opponents don't think we can get out of trouble without having to pay a retreat cost or something like that. So quite nice. I think it's really, really important, quite useful, especially when people try to do that mid to late game save where they Guzma you to try to buy a turn or something like that. And you can just go like Macargo, Zoroark, get that Switch and just fly right out of there and not have to burn any other resources. Energy-wise, pretty straightforward. It's just the 4 DCEs and the 4 fighting energies. There's not really a reason to run anything other than that. The DCEs are obviously super crucial, and those fightings help us do all we need to do. You don't really need the Rainbow for any other attacks, like you're not going to Tapu Cure really or anything like that. So that is the deck. Worked really well. Saw a lot of Malamar, like a lot of Malamar. It ended up being a 4-round League Cup, and I've got all my matches are going to be listed down below. But basically, it was Malamar, Quagsire, Lapras, a Tapu Koko Shrine spread deck, and then top 4 were 2 more Malamars. So that was it, and I went undefeated. So, I mean, this deck can clearly handle Malamar. What more can I say? And it's a very, very common deck, so if you're trying to pick up some cup wins really quickly before the quarter shifts over again, before Lost Thunder enters into format, this could be a really good deck if that is something you're seeing a lot of in your area. But until next time, like, comment, subscribe, check out my channel for more content, and I will see you next time.